Hang on.
Yes. Starting recording now.
Now, hang on a sec. Oh, right. Okay. Hello, lovely lionesses. Right. Welcome today for this Mindset Monday. We have a special treat for you today. We have Toolika Rani for us. We've already given, I've already posted in the group a little introduction about her, but I would like her to briefly tell us about herself. So over to you, Toolika.
Hello, Julie. Thank you so much for inviting me on your platform. It is my pleasure to interact with you and through you to other people who would be listening to us. So, a brief about myself, that I am an ex-Indian Air Force officer, a mountaineer, a public speaker, a writer, and a research scholar. So public speaking has been one of my passions right from childhood. And as far back as I remember, I have always been on stage. So my first talk was when I was 10 years old. That was in my school. And since then, stage has been my second home. So this is a little bit about me. I served in Indian Air Force for 10 years, from 2005 to 15. My branch was administration, specialization into air traffic controlling. And I also had an opportunity to be posted as military outdoor training instructor in the Air Force Academy, where I had the opportunity to train hundreds of cadets into military training, the outdoor physical training. In addition to it, I have had the privilege to venture into mountains, and through it, I have done 23 mountaineering and trekking expeditions in various countries, which also includes Mount Everest, which I was able to climb successfully in 2012. As far as public speaking goes, till now there have been over 90 talks as well as interviews in various countries, in India, USA, UK, Bulgaria, and now it is you. That includes TEDx, Toastmasters keynote speaking also, Rotary International, as well as Wiki. So I am privileged to be speaking to you today on a topic that is very dear to my heart, public speaking.
Wow, that's fantastic. Toolika, you are an amazing woman. You are really a strong lioness. Wow, amazing. Thank you ever so much for doing this collaboration with me to help the other amazing women in the community. That's fantastic. Yes, we want to ask you a couple of questions regarding your motivational speaking. That's amazing that you've done so many talks already. Wow. Okay. So I've got a couple of questions, if you don't mind me asking.
Please, please.
Okay. So the first question I have for you is, I have read that public speaking continues to be a top fear for humanity. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I would say public speaking is one thing that all of us have to do at some or other point of time in our lives, because we live in a society. So for maintaining our relationships, we have to communicate in our families as well as communities, in our societies. When we go out as a professional, so in our careers also, whether we are an entrepreneur or we are doing some business or we are into a government job or into corporates, we have to again indulge with people, communicate with them on various platforms. That may include presentations or talks. So I would say that yes, this fear is quite widespread amongst people. It is very widespread. People do express this fear of public speaking, but it depends a lot about somebody's aptitude. One thing is that it is not generalized that everybody feels this fear. Perhaps there are people who feel this, but there are also some people who are born with this ability to communicate on public platforms. So I suppose it depends on a person. Second thing which I would say is, it depends upon our upbringing, I suppose, because everything starts at home. And I have realized this, I have observed that children who are given freedom to express their thoughts confidently in their families, they are more confident when they go out into the public expressing their thoughts. So there are people who, when given a stage, they would just flourish because that comes very naturally to them. So I would say public speaking is an art, an aptitude. Some people are born with it and some people are not. It is similar to writing, perhaps. So some people are born with this flair for writing or for singing for that matter or for painting. Public speaking is also an art and skill like that. But the good news is that it can be learned. So that fear of public speaking can be overcome, and that there is a silver lining. Even if somebody feels this fear of public speaking, and if somebody is not blessed with an inherent capability to do this, they can learn it.
Okay, interesting that you say that. Okay. And do you consider public speaking amongst your family and your peers? This is also public speaking?
Of course. What do you mean by public? Public means other people. The words public, I suppose, in my understanding, the words public should relate to people, other people than you. So whenever we communicate, that would come as a public speaking. If we are communicating in a family function, say if we have to stand and speak to all of our relatives in a family function, that is also a sort of public speaking at a lower scale. So when you speak, perhaps when you stand on a platform to deliver a TEDx or a Toastmasters, that is a little higher scale. But all of us are engaging in these kind of public speaking. Public speaking, in my opinion, means whenever you communicate to the other person, that is public speaking at the basic level. If you're connecting to larger audience, then the level is raised.
I see. Okay, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of it like that, because public speaking for me is basically speaking to a room full of strangers or acquaintances or contacts, business contacts, not my family or my friends, because I feel comfortable speaking to them. I don't have the nerves that I have when I'm trying to talk to a room full of strangers. Yeah.
See, what happens is why we are afraid of talking to people who we do not know personally, because we have not the fear of speaking per se. You rightly said that you feel comfortable, or many people for that matter feel comfortable speaking in their families, but not in front of strangers. Why? Because we have this assurance that our family members would accept it even if we make a mistake. They will not be judgmental even if we say something wrong, but we do not have the same assurance from the strangers. So basically the fear is not of speaking, the fear is of their reaction. What will they say if we commit a mistake? What will they say if they do not agree with what we say? So the counter reactions, we basically fear the counter reactions from strangers, which we do not feel with our people, with our own family members. So that is why I suppose when we go out to speak in public, for that matter to strangers who we do not know personally, I would say we have to curb this fear of a counter argument. And we have to first of all understand that people are entitled to have a view different than ours. As we have a right to our view, they have a right to their view. If we have this freedom to express our point of view, they have this freedom to counter our point and express their thought process. So we shall not take it very personally if they come up with an argument against what we are saying. So that is why if we understand this basic right, perhaps we would be less scared of speaking to strangers. So this acceptance of difference of opinion is important.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I feel that when I'm public speaking in front of strangers, I have the other fears come in, like the fear of rejection, the fear of failure. If I make a mistake, they will judge me harshly. And when I do it, when I speak to my family and my friends, I have less of this fear, because they know me, they know that I'm human, I make mistakes, they want to listen to me, and so these other fears come into play when I'm doing a speech or a presentation. Yeah. So okay.
Yes,
Very
actually,
interesting.
when I speak, And if somebody has given a point different than mine, I take it as a learning value. So I do think about it, and I try to understand it, that yes, I suppose this is also one perspective to look at this particular thing. So I take
Yeah.
it as a resource which has come to me, a value addition basically. So I do not take it
Okay.
as a counter to my personality or counter to my thought process. I take it as
Yeah.
a
Okay.
different point of view. See, in
Okay.
India, we have a religion called Jainism. And there is a very beautiful saying in Jainism, a concept and a perception of Jainism, which says that truth can be perceived from 7 different angles, from
Oh,
7 different
wow.
positions. So that's called
Okay.
Syadvad. That's called Syadvad. And if you are standing over there and you are seeing a particular thing which I'm also seeing, standing somewhere else, I would see it differently. You would see it differently. Somebody else would see it in a different perception. So that is
Mm-hmm.
why the truth is one only. The entity is one which we all are seeing. But we are seeing it in different fashions because we are standing at different positions. So if we have
Yes.
this basic understanding, I suppose this fear will also go from us. And people who are listening to us, even if they hold a point counter to ours, they would understand that they have their freedom to have it, we have our freedom to have it, and we both can learn from each other.
Yes, 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 I agree. It's a learning experience. Yes, yes, okay. All right, good. Okay, the next question is, why do you think that people have this fear of public speaking? Is it really a fear, a phobia, or something else?
Again, this fear of public speaking is because of rejection, as you said. We are afraid of the consequences, not of the act, but the consequences of our act. So when we go to a stage to speak in front of a room full of people,
Mm.
we are exposing ourselves. We are making ourselves vulnerable to their
Yes,
criticism. And
yes,
that is why
very.
it is not the fear per se of speaking. It is the fear of our vulnerability. But until
Mm.
and unless we make ourselves vulnerable in this world, I suppose we're not going to grow. So
Mm-hmm.
falling and failing at some point, being criticized at some point, being opposed at some point is all right. First of all, we have to
Yeah,
accept this fact of life, that if we are being criticized, it is all right. And we can take it
yeah,
in a positive way to improve ourselves. See, if we think that we are
yes.
perfect, we stop
Mm.
growing. If there is somebody who can pinpoint something which we did not know earlier, that adds as a fuel for my growth. And that is
Wow.
why it
Okay.
is all right to go out in the public and expose ourselves, because that will open up my path for progress further. So this is
Hmm.
how I take myself. And also one thing,
Wow.
when we stand on the stage, if we fail, if we forget, or if we say something that people do not agree with, that's okay. Because you think of any great people in the human history, whenever they spoke something, were they taken as true in the first instance? No.
Mm.
There are
No.
many examples.
Mm-hmm.
There was many examples. No,
Mm-hmm.
this person who said Galileo, who told us that Earth moves around the sun and it is not the vice versa. It was not
Yes.
taken as truth at that particular time. But
Yes.
he did say it because he had this conviction and he said this. So that kind of a conviction, I suppose, we must have.
Okay. Wow. Great. There's some great golden nuggets in there. Amazing. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, I know that there are three phases of truth. First of all, it's not believed. Then it becomes kind of forced on us until the third and final stage, truth is accepted as being
Yes.
um, the the whole truth and nothing but the truth. But
Yes.
at first, it's not the truth at all because we have so much resistance to change our thinking. Yeah, of course.
True. True.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. The next question is, how did it feel for you the first time you got up on stage, and how old were you when you got up on stage?
I was 10 year old. So
Okay, so when you were 10, how did it feel for you getting up on stage at 10 compared to when you did your TEDx talk?
if I remember it correctly, when I was 10-year-old and delivered this speech in my school, I was excited at that time also, and I did
Okay.
not feel this fear of the stage. I would say that there has been only one time when I have not performed well on the stage. Otherwise, I feel excited. It is an inborn urge in me to communicate to people from the stage. Because as a child, I was always somebody who was in the center of my friends. So in our free time, in our recess, when our classes were not going on, in that
Mm-hmm.
spare time, I used to sit inside a circle of my friends. So I used to be in the center and my
Oh,
friends
wow.
sitting all around me, and I would initiate a topic. I would initiate perhaps
Wow.
a news that I had read in the morning, or a story that I had read the previous day, or a novel, a character, or any happening for that matter. And I would start this discussion. And I would be the one to express my views for the first instance. Thereafter, other people could also speak, and we started this discussion. So I had always been that kind of a person. I love connecting with people. So I have not experienced this fear because I take my fallibility as a human being. I accept it already that I am fallible as a human being and I can fail and I can make mistakes. That's all right. Why it is not such a burden or fear for me perhaps is because I understand that there is not even a single person on this earth who has never committed a mistake. We human beings
Yes.
always, at least one or some other point of time, commit mistake because to err is human and being
Yes.
without mistake is just God. So when
Yes.
everybody fails, when everybody commits mistake, why we shall fear committing mistakes? We do not
Mm-hmm.
commit a sin if we commit a mistake. We are not sinners if we commit a mistake. And that too in public speaking. If we forget, so what? If somebody has a different opinion than ours, so what? So it is all right. It is not that a big thing, I suppose. And
Yeah. Okay.
that was my first talk when I went over there. And about TEDx, when I was speaking for TEDx, because see, TEDx is a very prestigious platform,
Yes.
and
Very.
and you have this kind of a responsibility to live up to it. So perhaps whoever prepares for TEDx, you know in advance that you are going to speak on this platform and it has a name globally. So your content, your delivery has to match up to that reputation because people are going to look up to you for that. So that suppose puts a kind of pressure on your mind. But
Yes.
again, I did not feel that pressure because I would tell you that I prepared for my TEDx only for 2 days. But I would say that yes, I
Wow.
did prepare. Some of my talks, most of my talks, I deliver spontaneously. For my TEDx, I did prepare for 2 days, and I also prepared speaking it out for a number of times in those 2 days. So first of all, I wrote it down, all my thoughts, I timed it, and then I also prepared speaking it a few times. And that was all about it. So I would say that
Okay.
preparation, I suppose, makes it a little better. When you are under stress, under pressure, and to perform on a public stage, if you prepare, you are more confident and better in that arena, I suppose.
Yes, I see. Yeah, we do need to be prepared. Yes, to a certain level. Spontaneity is good for some things. You're in a strong position if you can be spontaneous. Right. Okay. That's great. Fantastic.
I
Um,
would say, yeah, please.
okay. Sorry. Now the next question is. So you, from what I can understand, what you're telling me is you don't feel the fear of public speaking because you've switched your emotions, yeah, into I can understand excitement and possibly relief. Would that be correct?
Believe, believe.
No,
Yes, that's the right word.
no, relief. Relief.
Relief.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Yes. It is a kind of relief, yes, I would say, because when there are thoughts whirling in your mind, if you let them out in any form, that's a great relief to a person.
Yes.
A thinking
Yes.
person, you would have seen a person who thinks
Hmm.
has an urge most of the time to speak it also. And that
Yes.
would come very naturally. That would come very, very naturally. So all
Yeah.
these thoughts, I would say that I have been a kind of person who has always had these thoughts in my mind right from childhood. I used to observe the societal norms and question. So that is why I suppose public speaking came very naturally to me. But there might be people who might be thinkers and still not that good a orator. I would quote the example of Mahatma Gandhi here. Now, everybody knows Mahatma Gandhi as a very huge leader, a very great personality on this entire humanity. But I read his biography, My Experiments
Hmm.
with Truth, and he has himself admitted that in the beginning, when he was in South Africa, he had to deliver
Hmm.
a speech and he was really nervous. So he wrote it down on a piece of paper. He started reading from that paper, standing in front of people, and still he was not very confident reading it. So he was not
Oh.
that a good public speaker, but he was a great thinker as well as a great
Hmm.
leader. So I would say that
Yes.
perhaps public speaking skills are inborn in some people. In some other people, they
Mm.
might not be that prevalent, but that can be learned. So
Mm.
basic communication can always be learned and we can overcome this fear. No,
Mm.
what is
Here's a question for you. Sorry. Um, would you say that a naturally born extroverted person would be would have this inbred talent skill of public speaking than an introvert? Yes.
definitely that would happen. But it is not to say that an introvert person, if given a stage, will not be able to speak very well. It stems from the conviction of what we are speaking, I suppose. I have
Mm.
realized that when you speak with conviction, you have no fear. You have
Yeah.
that courage rather. So if you are
Yeah.
speaking something which you actually believe in, which you live by in your day-to-day life, you would have no fear of speaking it.
Mm.
So that
I know that
yeah,
there are some good. Sorry, I know that there are some good speakers out there, and they've become motivational speakers, but they are real introverts at heart.
yes. See what
So
happens is uh,
they've learned the skill.
yes, for instance, when I speak of one humanity, that is
Mhm.
also one of my favorite topics that I speak of, that human race is one. Despite
Yes.
our appearances being different,
Hmm. Yes.
despite our superficial
I
differences in,
totally agree. Yeah.
yes. So when I speak about it, you could feel that conviction in me because there is this genuine belief in me on this particular aspect. When I speak
Hmm.
about the power of mind over body, there is this genuine conviction in me because I have lived by it. When I was climbing Mount Everest, I saw this, I felt it, I experienced it, I lived it every day for 3 years when I was preparing for it. So when I was failing again and again and trying to climb this mountain again, I felt that yes, mind is a beautiful instrument in our hands, which would make
Hmm.
our bodies do something, which would alter our situations also. Even if we do not have resources, we can perhaps generate them, find them from somewhere, but our mind is a very powerful instrument that God has blessed us with. So when I
Hmm.
speak on these topics, the conviction is there within me. And that is why I do not feel any fear speaking them, because I know in
Okay.
my heart that there is this truth in me.
Okay. Good. Wow. Amazing. Okay. Here's another question. What do you do to calm yourself down before you get on stage? Because you feel excited, yeah, not fear, but you feel
Yes.
excited.
Yes.
So how do you calm yourself down?
Yes. See, when I am walking towards the stage, I breathe long breaths. So
Okay.
I generally
Deep,
deep
slow
breathing.
breaths. Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I take these deep breathing. So and
Mhm.
I collect myself, I compose myself, So in a very graceful movement, I would try to go onto the stage. So I am already calm and composed as a person. So deep breathing automatically relaxes everybody. That is one thing
Okay.
which I do. But even before that moment, when I'm walking towards the stage, what I do is preparation. So even if I have not written it down on the paper, what I'm going to speak, I at least have a mental makeup as to what I'm going to speak, the broad outline. So preparation is the key, I would say, for anything in that life, perhaps. It is not only public speaking, whatever goal that we are trying to attain, whatever arena we are going to perform in, if we prepare well in advance, we are more confident. Also, see, we have to research our topic. If specifically we talk about public speaking, we must research our topic, gather a little more information than we are going to give to the audience, because at the end, if there are questions, we shall be ready for extra material, information, and extra wisdom and insights on that particular topic to answer our audience also. So when we have
Yep.
this knowledge, when we have this knowledge that we have this information and we have this researched wealth with us, we go more prepared and more confident. We know that we know more than the audience know, because we have already researched it, we have already prepared on it. So this preparation
Yes.
gives us confidence.
Okay, I hear you. Wow, fantastic. Great. Wow, you're amazing. Okay. And not the final question. Question number 6. What do you think is the best way to improve your public speaking skills?
Best way is to prepare again and again and again, because
Okay.
simulate what you are trying to do on that one final day. In whichever
Okay.
field of life, whatever you are trying to do, simulate it each and every day in your life, and you are going to perform excellently on that final day. This is what I have learned when I was trying to climb. I'm a mountaineer, and I know that I have to climb. So climbing is what I do every day in my life, be it climbing stairs or doing anything. But I climb every day in my life. I
Good.
simulate that kind of a scenario that I have to climb. So my legs are now tuned to that kind of a motion that they have to raise themselves up to a higher level and put down the step there. This is also applicable to public speaking. So if somebody has to speak, one must one must simulate that kind of a situation to speak. Speak in front of your friends, speak in front of your family, speak in a timed fashion. If you are going to deliver a timed speech, time your speech when you're preparing at home also. Look at yourself. If look it in the mirror at yourself, because when we look in somebody's eyes, in
Yes.
somebody's eyes, perhaps we forget. So that is what I have heard many people saying, that when we look in somebody's eyes, we forget what we were about to say.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
best practice, the best way to do anything excellently is to do it each and every day. Do it repeatedly and you will master it. In the beginning, it would seem very difficult, perhaps ridiculous, and you will be miserable at doing it. But,
Okay.
but when you persist, the persistence is again a very wonderful thing that we human beings are blessed with. If we persist, our mind and our body gets tuned to it. So
Yeah,
that
it becomes
thing
a habit.
becomes easy. Yes, it becomes easier, and the easiest to do then. And later on, we start enjoying it. You know what happened was, when I got into mountaineering, I really hated it in the beginning. I used to wonder how people can enjoy the snowfall. It is such it is such a hellish thing to happen. You know, the snow is going into your nose, the snow is going into your eyes, and you cannot see where to walk. The whole route is washed off and covered.
Oh.
I used to
Oh,
think this.
wow.
This was what I thought. This was what I thought in my first climbing expedition. But later
Okay.
on, today you see that I have these 23 mountaineering and trekking expeditions on my name in various countries, and that includes Mount Everest. So from there, because I continued climbing, and when you continue doing a particular task, our body and our mind get tuned to it. They find ways automatically to do that task. And the same is applicable to public speaking also. So anybody who feels this fear, just go and confront this fear. You know, fear will keep on increasing if we keep on backing off. So
Yes,
that
I
is,
agree.
it is a fight. It is a fight.
Yeah.
You got to go out there, continue doing it, even if you are doing it really very poorly in the beginning, it's all right. Nobody becomes an expert on the first attempt. No, when we
No.
see experts, there is this years and years of sustained practice behind them. And then people become experts at something. So if you have started, congratulations, continue with it. One day it will be your day to become a master in something.
Oh, okay, interesting. I do have a story to tell. When I was doing a sponsorship presentation for Vickers Defence Systems to get onto a 1-year graduate program to be sponsored throughout the year, I had to do a presentation. And my fear of public speaking was very big back then, even bigger than it is today. And I remember practicing and different people, different audiences, family and friends. And in the end, I think I must have practiced it 8 times. It was so important to me. And the one criticism I did get from one of the members in the audience who was looking at hiring me into his department was that I sounded robotic. And yet I felt like I had achieved such I'd climbed a massive, that was my Mount Everest for me,
Yes,
to be able
yes,
to present this very important
yes,
presentation. Yeah,
yes,
for me that was,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
I did practice, I timed, but I came across as robotic, but I managed to get everything out that I had to say. I don't care. I didn't care at the time that I sounded robotic. I had done what I had set out to do, and I
Yes,
climbed Mount Everest. Yeah, I did
definitely.
it.
See, you had achieved. You know, when we compare ourselves with somebody, we are doing ourselves an injustice basically,
Yeah,
because
I agree.
they do not know from where we started. So as you were
Yeah.
saying that you started from perhaps a very low point, and then you did this Mount Everest equal to Mount Everest thing
Yes.
of actually going onto the stage and finishing your talk and expressing whatever you had to speak. So you had covered a long ground. You had
Yes.
actually covered a very long distance for yourself, and only you know this. The person who
Yes.
commented was not aware of this. So it is
Yeah.
all right if she said so. Perhaps she gave you another point to progress later. So next time when you would have spoken somewhere, you would have taken care of putting a little more emotions there, putting your fear back and speaking
Yes.
more from your heart. You know,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Okay.
our
Well,
critics, our critics do really good to us. So that
yes,
is
they
how
can
I
have.
feel.
Yes. Yes, I
Yes.
did learn a lot, I have to say, and I didn't let him hold me back.
Yeah.
But I have come a long way with my fear of public speaking. When I first did a presentation at university, I completely froze. I had a
Yeah.
coughing fit. I couldn't continue. I had a hot flush. I had to
Yes.
leave the room. It was so
Yeah.
embarrassing. So my journey of public speaking has been
Yes.
a long journey, and I'm, developing myself, learning the skill. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I can understand this. See, I can understand this. First of all, we have to accept ourselves, Julie. All of us. I
Yes.
suppose public speaking or anything else in this world would start by loving ourselves,
Yes.
accepting our beliefs, and
Yes.
looking within. See, I hold one concept very dearly, and that is Aham Brahmasmi. This one sentence forms the core of each of my talks. Aham Brahmasmi, that is a philosophy from the Indian Upanishads. We have these holy texts, Upanishads,
Ah.
ancillary to the
Okay.
Vedas, and Vedas they are considered the most ancient religious texts of this earth. So ancillary to them are the Upanishads, and in one of the Upanishads, it is written this one sentence, Aham Brahmasmi, that means I am the universe. And this power, just trying saying this sentence, how empowering this is. When you say, I am the universe.
I am the universe.
Just speaking this one sentence fills you with so much of power and confidence. And you can create your own universe around you. Now, every day when we connect with ourselves, we are tapping into that inner reserve of energy which all of us have. And that is when I suppose this confidence also comes, this calmness comes. The composer that we were talking of, the composer comes from that self-knowledge. So in this world, when we go around, all of these people are actually a component of the same universe of which we are made. We are not different. This is a very deep philosophy from India that nobody is different. Nobody is different. God has created everything that we see on this earth, and that is why we all are just components of the same one thing. And that is why we do not need to fear anything. We do not need to fear anything. Any criticism that comes, we can remold ourselves. Human beings have this amazing capacity of remolding themselves, the situations, and everything in this world. So even if we are at a lower stage today, we always have this capacity to remold ourselves and become somebody better. So we have to start. See, nobody knows our journey. If we are at ladder 1 today, we know that we are at ladder 1, but we have already moved from 0 to 1. And we are going to continue. We are going to continue. Perhaps somebody might be looking down at us from ladder 10. That's step 10 in the ladder. We might be at step 1. But we know that we have already moved up from 0 to 1. And we are certain to move to step 10 also one day if we continue. So let that person who is looking down at you from the step 10, perhaps they were also at some point of their time in life at this very step where we are standing today. No point comparing, no point fearing. So it is just about our own progress.
Sorry, they should be lifting us up to their level.
We do not expect these things, If somebody does, we shall be grateful. If somebody does not, we should not be resentful.
No, not resentful. No. I hear you. Okay. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, fantastic knowledge that you have. Wow. Just saying those words, I am the universe, it's really, really powerful, yeah? Yeah, I'm all about the universe. Fantastic. Okay, and our last and final question for today is, what do you think of this advice that I read about that can get you quickly and easily identifiable with the audience, and they will like you more? And that is, tell your audience that you're scared. What do you think about that?
I would say it in a different sense. Not necessarily we would say that I am scared. Not necessarily. Yes, it is very important to establish a connection with the audience right in the beginning of your speech. But try to find out something with which most of the people identify. I will give you an example that today morning I had a talk at Rotary International Club. So it was a conglomeration of various Rotary clubs. They had invited me. It was from Delhi. They had invited me to deliver a talk. I had chosen the topic mind over matter. And the way I started, I would give you an example as to how I started. When I got into the Zoom meeting, I noticed that all of my audience were at least twice my age. So by their appearance, I could see that they were elder to me, very, very elder to me. And that meant that they were all more experienced and with more wisdom than I have in life, because they have seen more life than I have seen. So perhaps in that situation, I would have become nervous because now these are people who are the age of my grandparents, and I'm going to speak to them as the chief guest. So
Yes.
how I started was, it is very important to establish a connection with your audience at their level.
Yes.
So I started with this thing, that my topic of today is mind over matter. And I believe that matter means either external resources or the external factors. But my belief is that mind is above them and more powerful than them. And who knows it better than you people who have reached a considerable standing in their lives, and you would have again and again faced and experienced the same sentence that I have just said, mind over matter. Because you would have experienced this repeatedly in your life, that is why today you are in this position to be associated with this very prestigious club called the Rotary International. And here is when I established this connection with them. So not necessarily that you have to tell that you are scared, not necessarily. You have to see your audience, generally where they come from. If it is a particular club, can you talk about their club so that they feel this identification? If they are children, can you feel what is that one thing which children generally feel? Perhaps the parental pressure to perform. The students, what do students fear the most? The exams. So you can identify that one thing which your audience generally relate to. And you can start with that one thing, relating it with your life. Because we all of us have been students at some time in our lives.
Yes.
We all have gone through the similar stages in our lives. So perhaps we can bring out one example when we were in their age, and then this connection will be established. I would give you another example. When I go to colleges and universities, and if I see NCC, this National Cadet Corps, we have this National Cadet Corps program in the universities and schools in India, where students are trained in a semi-military fashion. So that kind of the NCC, since I was also an NCC cadet in my graduation, so whenever I see NCC cadets, I show them my picture of my NCC days, and I tell them that you remind me of my days in NCC. And that is why I establish this connection with them. So not necessarily you have to say that you are scared. Yes, sharing our weaknesses can establish this connection.
Showing vulnerability. Showing them that you are human. You are not a robot. You are not emotionless.
See, nobody is a superhuman. I understand what you're trying to say. Nobody is a superhuman. And when we tell our audience that, see, we are also normal, ordinary human beings like all of us. I have not done anything great. Even if I have climbed Everest, so what? There are so many people who have climbed Everest. I have climbed it with oxygen. There are people who have climbed it without oxygen also. So it is not that I just climbed Everest in my first attempt. I failed in my first attempt. I tried again. And in my second attempt, I was able to climb. So when I tell them this, that I failed, I establish this connection with them, that I am also a human being standing here in front of you, and I failed. I failed like all of us fail in our lives. But the only thing why I'm standing in front of you today is that I did not give up at that time. I persisted. And that is what my message to you is today, that I persisted. So failing is fine. Follow it up with persistence.
Yes, failing without giving up. Yes. And persistent. Yes. Keep moving forward. Yes. Wow, Toolika, that was amazing. You've given us so much fantastic advice, your own experiences. You've given us a lot of food for thought, definitely, especially myself. And I really, really do appreciate everything that you've told us and that you've shared with us, and you've shown us how genuine, authentic, and vulnerable you can be. I really appreciate that. Wow.
You know what happened? What happened?
Yes.
I would share here because when we were going to talk, just before that, at my place, electricity went. At my place, electricity went. And see, it would have put us in a lot of pressure. But I thought that it is okay. These are normal conditions beyond our control. So when there is something beyond our control, we shall focus on what we can do. No.
Yes.
So that is how I take things. Everybody understands because these conditions happen to everybody.
I used to feel very anxious when things went wrong because I was a control freak. And now I let things happen, and they happen for a reason, and so I calm down, and you know, everything turns out okay in the end, yeah?
Yes, definitely. Everything turns out good, and people understand. You know, this knowledge that people out there understand because they go through the similar situations. So this really helps.
Yeah. Even the experts, Tony Robbins, he has technical problems too.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Okay. So thank you ever so much. Wow. I cannot thank you enough for your time, for your expertise, for sharing your experiences, for showing how authentic, genuine, and vulnerable you can be. And you're amazing. I am really happy that you're in the community. So
it's really good.
Yes, so thank you so much. I hope everybody in the community enjoys this chat that we've had, and they make notes. They need to have a pen and paper making notes. Definitely. So I want to thank you again for your time and for everything that you've presented today. And it's been a nice chat. It's been lovely to get to know you. I really appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you so much. It has been wonderful talking to you because you are a wonderful human being and a wonderful host also. So you have come a long way, Julie. You have come a really long way. And I'm sure that you're going even further higher. So do continue this. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you and to come on your channel here on this platform of the Unleash Your Lionessness. Wow, that's really great. we all have this power. We all have this power within us.
Yeah, we do within us, and I'm trying to bring it out of all these women who I know are so scared, and yes, I know they feel so unworthy of so many things. Yes, so thank you again for your time, and perhaps we can do another talk in the future. We will discuss it. But thank you very much for today. I really appreciate it.
Namaste. Namaste. God bless you.
Namaste. Namaste. Yes. Okay, I'm going to